came up.
Oh, I gotta really try hard.
Shut it down!
Somehow it's the best.
After the credits.
A Yum Chunks podcast.
Yum Chunks!
Welcome, everyone, to a very special bonus episode of After the Credits. I am your host, Sean, and with me on this very special occasion is Matt Chewy.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to hear you, Matt. Good to be with you again.
Yes.
After just earlier this week.
This is important enough to do a couple days later.
Oh, it's very important. Your audience will soon find out. And Chris is also here. Chris, what's up?
Yeah. Hey. How's it going? Hey.
You sounded.
You've been talking very fast.
You're sounding
there.
very fast this evening.
Yeah. Well, we just posted our Avengers Endgame episode just a day or two ago. So if you haven't listened to that, we recommend listening to that. But we have a very special episode today. We're going to be talking about a franchise that has been beloved for decades and is making the transition to movies, a video game franchise that is being adapted. It's been hyped for a long time, and it's been built up, and it's been rumored that this film may break the curse of the bad video game movie and be the first good video game movie. So we just need to talk about this. And of course, that movie is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes. I have my tickets already.
The trailer of which just dropped earlier this week, and the internet, and by therefore humanity, at this point, internet equals humanity, is in an uproar. Uproar.
Tailspin.
I don't know. Word. What's the word?
Frenzy.
I think it has everyone saying Pika who.
Oh,
right. Am I right?
You're right, actually.
Yeah, I did say that. I didn't even know why I said it at the time, but I was saying that. Yeah, so the trailer came out, and a lot of people weren't happy with a lot of things. And for some reason, we're talking about it. Guys, why are we talking about this?
Well, this is one of those situations where when I watched the trailer, I experienced every human emotion possible within the span of about 2 to 3 minutes.
You know the joy of giving birth to a child after watching this trailer.
Just fear, loss, joy, ecstasy, just self-doubt. Every possible emotion that you could feel just came up, bubbled up to the surface in those minutes, and I have to deal with it now.
Well, this is why we're here. We're here to air those feelings to the public.
I mean, would I be stepping out of line if I said that this trailer was a masterpiece in the works of doing the exact opposite of what it was based on?
Absolutely. Well, I have a question for me and all of you guys. What is our? This might be a good way to start. What is our previous relationship with the Sonic franchise as far as like how big of fans we are? Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. Well, I think I don't want to steal your thunder, but you will be the king of this, so I won't claim to be as big a fan as you are, but I have been a fan since the original games came out. I remember getting the games, like, back then, it wasn't even a big thing, game release dates, at least not as much as it is now, but even then remembering, like, I know Sonic 3 comes out this week, I'm going to go get it, I've saved up my money, and Ryan and I would go out and get the game as soon as it came out, and so we've been fans since then, since the original Sonic. That's what I'm most used to and played the most. I played some of the 3D Sonics, but I kind of lost track of them in the mid-2000s when there started being knights and werewolves, and I don't know what was going on.
Time travel.
Things got weird. Sonic had a human girlfriend.
He had a human girlfriend, but I've always been a fan of just the classic franchise, or the classic Sonic. I played the Sonic Mania, which you gifted me, Chewy.
You have to finish it. I know you haven't finished it yet.
I haven't finished it, but I have enjoyed what I played. But anyways, I'm just a general fan of that franchise, at least the classic version of the franchise. Chris?
Yeah, Chris.
I am definitely a fan. I mean, it would be really hard to say you're not a fan of Sonic. It's like one of those seminal characters in video games, right? Like,
Not really.
No, I mean, so I just finished that Console Wars book. I know you've read it, Chewy. I don't know if Sean's read it, but where would video games might be in a completely different place if it wasn't for Sonic.
Well, yeah, that it helped Nintendo not get lazy. The arms race really escalated because of Sonic in the 90s, and you're right. It's important.
But beyond that, I played played a little bit of the originals. Never finished any of them, and I played a couple of the Sonic Adventure games. Really liked those. So, but that's about my only exposure. I've never been like get every Sonic game, play through it. I really like Knuckles though. God, I like Knuckles.
Oh yeah.
Just as a character, I've always liked Sonic, but Tails. I don't know. I always really liked Tails. He was my.
I don't know why, but neither of those things surprised me about either of you.
Really?
I don't know.
See how much Sonic tells you?
I know.
Let's take a Sonic quiz right now on the air and find out who our characters
personality quiz. Well, Chewy, you're obviously the pro, the master of Sonicology.
I don't know.
So
I don't actually really know that that's true. I mean, I was a very little man when the first Sonic game came out. I think I was 4. And I played it when I was 4, so it was a very formative experience. And like you, Sean, the Sonic games on the Genesis were a big deal whenever a new one came out, and it was something I anticipated. It was always like, oh man, summer's coming up, and there's a new Sonic game, and that's what my summer's going to be. And I played, I played the classics well through high school, even though they weren't coming out with the classics anymore. I played the Sonic Adventures and Sonic Heroes, but after that, that era that, Sean, you said that you kind of fell out of it. I kind of did too, because things just got real weird, and I would maybe like rent the new Sonic is a Knight game and play it for an hour and realize it was a mistake, or buy a copy of whatever new Sonic reboots coming out used and then sell it back to GameStop. Like, I kind of just accepted that Sonic wasn't gonna ever be good again. Sometimes they'd come out with an okay one, like Sonic 4 was okay. But, you got Sonic fans who are like ride and die, right? Like, you got Sonic fans who are like, doesn't matter, they play everything. And I would say obsessed is probably an accurate term this time around. With those classic 16-bit games, I probably could say I'm obsessed with those. But all the games that are bad games, and I have too many games to play that I'm not going to dedicate time to a bad game, even if it's a Sonic game. Which is why I love that Sonic Mania is out. I filled up every game save slot on that game with completed games on Sonic Mania. I love it so much. It's like my favorite game that's come out in the last decade. And it's because it's classic Sonic. So that's kind of where I'm at with Sonic. I'm not the biggest fan. Only because half the games are bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're kind of all actually pretty similar level then. None of us are, I guess, hardcore. Although I would be surprised if I find anyone who's like so hardcore into Sonic that they play all the bad games. Anyways, but we're all exposed to it. I do think that he is the character, though, like you were saying with the Console Wars book, is just an important figure. People who don't even know the games. He's obviously no Mario, but he's probably the second most recognizable video game character, I would guess.
Yeah, well, he came out when video game characters were still very mascotty and Mickey Mousey, So, I would say you're probably right, because his mascots, they stick into people's minds.
But they're finally, taking that mascot, something that is somewhat recognizable, and turning it into a film. And how do we feel about that? How do we feel about, one, Sonic being a movie, and two, just video game movies and kind of the stigma that's been attached to them, and that coming into some of what one of our favorite video game characters is?
So I was actually thinking about this earlier today, kind of in line with the question. Back when Sony was trying to make a bunch of movies based off its properties, and they had scheduled the Ratchet and Clank movie and the Sly Cooper movie, right?
Yeah.
And this property reminds me a lot of the Ratchet and Clank thing, right? Where it's, Ratchet and Clank is a recognizable game, and they're definitely high quality games. They're fun. That's where they shine. Story, not so much. I feel very similar to Sonic, where the story is very generic, but it's the gameplay that everybody finds really fun. So it's like one of those things where it's really hard to imagine them getting that across well in a movie. I don't know.
I think there have been successful attempts at like having a Sonic narrative with a story. The one I think of is probably the Sonic X anime series. So I mean, you can probably tell a good Sonic story in a visual movie form. I've had in my mind what a Sonic movie would be since I was probably like 10 years old. Like I've had a Sonic movie plotted out beat for beat, and like what it looks like and what the score sounds like in each part of the movie. And I already know there's a Sonic movie that exists in my head that I can watch whenever I want. This movie won't be anything like that.
I was just going to ask, how does this trailer match up to?
I like that. Based off what you just said, was "Gangster's Paradise" ever part of your Sonic soundtrack?
No, but the thing is, I feel like that's something I could be sold on. I feel like that could work in a Sonic movie if done correctly. That's neither here nor there.
Well, okay, I guess let's just cut to it then. What do you guys think of the trailer? I mean, I think we've hinted at enough, but aside from all the uproar in the internets and the popular notions, what are your guys' actual thoughts? What are your actual feelings? Do you hate it as much as everyone else apparently does, or not?
Like I said, did I say this on? I said this on the air that I felt every human emotion, but
yes.
But it's really just like a lot of it is just like kind of hilarious disbelief, like for me. But also it's completely expected. It's like what do they say? A good ending to any story should be unforced. It should be surprising but unavoidable, right? That's what I feel like this trailer is. That's what I'm seeing from this movie. Like, it's somehow surprising and unavoidable at the same time. That's what the Sonic movie was always going to be. Let's see. We mentioned Gangsta's Paradise. That's just incredible for so many reasons.
I mean, is there something I'm missing with that? There's no...
In the Sonic 4 game, he joins a gang and tries to teach English to inner city kids.
Oh, okay.
And Michelle Pfeiffer is his substitute. I just mean, is there like a line in that song that somehow weirdly applies to Sonic in any way? You know what I mean? Like, is there just like some weird pun?
He's been living most his life living in a gangster's paradise, man.
Not his whole life.
Most of his life.
I don't know. Here's something that's baffling to me. The poster, one of the first posters they released before they even showed us his full design, it was the one with the legs. We didn't even see his face yet. But he's sitting on the Golden Gate Bridge, and the inner fanboy in me went, "Oh my god, what if they do City Escape?" Because in Sonic Adventure 2, the level looks just like San Francisco, and I went, "Oh my gosh, what if they did City Escape?" All they would have had to do to win everyone over, despite how terrible Sonic's design is have the City Escape song, "Escape from the City," play over this trailer. That's all they would have, even if that scene's not in the movie, or any recognizable Sonic fanfare, any kind of recognizable Sonic score. That would have been I feel like been enough for a lot of fans, even though there's so much of it this looks bad. I don't know.
Well, I guess that leads to the next one. Do you think this movie is being aimed? I mean, it has to be. Like, they're not just trying to get an audience that doesn't know who Sonic is.
I mean, there's a lot of cheeky friggin' jokes for adults and stuff. So to me, that tells me they're aiming at obviously the Genesis comment, right? Like, they're aiming at the
audience
the
who
Chewies of the world.
Sonic, who knows Sonic, right?
The thing is, if they're aiming for the Chewies of the world, they're doing it in a really sleazy way. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing: you think that this looks like it's
it sleazy, Chewy.
Sean,
sorry, I don't know.
Sean, that was the worst thing you've ever done. No, but what I'm saying is, like, you guys are saying that this looks like it's targeted to slightly older because of the cheeky humor. I disagree entirely. I think this is targeted to really little kids. This looks like an Alvin and the Chipmunks, the Squeakquel situation. Yeah. This looks like... Oh, and it's funny because I've seen this meme on Tumblr, but remember that movie Hop that came out with James Marsden? There's 2 side-by-side screenshots of James Marsden driving in a car on the road. The cars even look similar. The roads even look similar. And then there's a CGI furry creature in the passenger seat. Like, so it's crazy how much the two shots from the movies looked the same. But my point is, this is like a Hop. This is like a I don't know, a Smurfs type of. That's what it really feels like to me, because that's how the humor looks, and that's just kind of visually. And the creepy Sonic is right in line with all the creepy CG cartoon characters in real life, interacting with humans. Well, that's what
I think. I think his design, to me, appeals more to a younger, younger crowd who doesn't really care about the design, but he looks like a stuffed animal.
He looks like a little kid.
Like a little kid or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but then again, that's why I guess it was just kind of a weird, just like... schizophrenic kind of thing. It's like they have all these in-jokes for people who know who Sonic is, but the design of the actual character and like how it looks to be more towards a younger audience. So I don't know. I guess.
Right. And what I was going to, or in my comment about this being a sleazy way to get me to see the movie is, you're asking, how do you get the Chewies of the world? Well, the Chewies of the world are going to go see it no matter what. And I'm not even, as we established, the biggest Sonic fan. Like, I'm a big classic Sonic fan, but there are Sonic fans. Yeah. And the movie doesn't have to be good, but the trailer just peppered in just enough. Like, they got the meme element of it by saying "gotta go fast" because that's a meme. The whole every story has a genesis, so I get it. And then there were a few choice things in the trailer.
Do you think in Japan that says every story has a master system?
They had to come up with a way more complicated pun. But there were enough things, and we could talk about later, but there were actually enough things in the trailer that I thought were kind of cool. And there were things like...
Well, I guess... Sorry to interrupt, but just kind of to throw it out there, personally, like, as much as it's fun to make fun of it, I don't quite get the huge uproar, and I don't know, it's a trailer, and I hate the idea of judging something based on the trailer. Now, to a certain extent, it's deserved, because that's what they put out. That's what you want people to do, is essentially judge it based on that trailer. But I am hesitant to just, like, call it trash before we've actually seen it. And so, do you guys think the uproar is deserved? Do you
no.
agree with it?
No.
I think the uproar is not so much an angry uproar. Like it doesn't feel like how like post Last Jedi uproar. This feels like a more tongue in cheek. Like nobody really cares that much, so it's kind of fun to pick on. And also the fact that we have Detective Pikachu, which is the real the one that actually might be the curse breaker. Funnily enough, that one's coming up, and it's a similar situation. They've taken a beloved '90s video game series and they're making it live action with like furry versions of the, like it's similar enough to where people can say this looks great, this looks terrible, and it always has to be a black and white thing on the internet. So, but I don't feel like you kind of presented it like, is this backlash deserved? And I'm like, it doesn't feel as mean as other internet dumpster fires have felt recently.
Yeah, I can get that.
Also, Sonic is used to being a laughing stock. It's been that way since the late 90s. Like
what was that Jaleel White episode you showed us about being touched by adults?
Oh, that's a weird thing to bring up out of context.
Well, you said being dumped on. I feel like that you can't get much lower than that.
I do now feel
PSA, I think, right?
Yeah, on the Sonic 90s cartoon, there was one of those G.I. Joe PSAs about inappropriate touching that has been re-edited and anyway, Sonic has been a garbage meme for a very long time. Like people like, oh, the whole world is making fun of Sonic now. Like, okay, well, get in line. Its own fandom has been making fun of it forever. So it's not. This is pretty par for the course. You know what I mean?
Can I tell you guys something?
Sure.
Yes, divulge it.
I actually like the trailer to a degree. Like, I laughed during the trailer.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is there anything that you liked about the trailer? And there were some things that I actually thought were potentially interesting or cool.
I'll go and say it. I like Jim Carrey cast as Robotnik/Eggman. I like it.
Okay.
Like, to me, it seems almost like a return to his Ace Ventura self, right? Which, I mean, he's overdue for.
Can we make this a talking point, because I have a lot of things to say about Jim Carrey, and I feel like we probably all do. Okay, polar opposite. I hate Jim Carrey's in this trailer, and
really?
I don't think anything he says is funny. And the reason why is because it feels like late '90s, early 2000s Jim Carrey. I'm like, I just feel like comedy's moved on, and he hasn't gotten the memo, and he's not as good at it as he used to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you. I actually agree with Chris that I like the idea. This is me, conflict resolution. I like the idea of Jim Carrey in this role, just as an abstract. I think there's potential there. I think I don't know, he is at least wacky. I mean, for that kind of character, I don't think you could play it straight, right? So I'm fine with them going all in on that wackiness. I agree with you, Chewy, though, that in the trailer he is not funny, and it's not something that I'm drawn to in the trailer. So I like the idea of it, but so far in the trailer he's not selling me.
Actually, I think that more is in line with how I feel, and that's the thing. You kind of mentioned this earlier, but this is the trailer. Those are the funniest parts that you can mine from him. And in this day and age, but in this day and age, they don't usually play smart. Usually, all the best jokes are in the trailer. It very rarely happens nowadays where they don't ruin the best jokes in the trailer. You know, unless it's a movie that improv, like 21 Jump Street, where all the scenes were the same, but the punchlines were different. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This doesn't seem like that kind of a movie to me.
Yeah, I doubt that. Well, I liked a couple things. I thought were I liked the ring portal.
Yes.
Thing.
Yes.
Even though it was a small thing in the games, and it really doesn't even seem to be the same idea, but it being an idea that it's portal or whatever. But just outside of the game reference, portals are always, you throw portals in a movie, and I'm usually all for that. I mean, that was my favorite part of Thor 2.
Mine too.
Loki. So yeah, I mean, that seemed cool. I'm down for that.
I really like that, and again, that's one of those things where it's like, you know, you'll need to do a few nostalgia things to win someone like me over, and it's like, yes, that's one of my earliest Sonic memories, being 4 years old, trying to jump into that stupid ring so it'll warp me to the special stage. Like, it has been ingrained in me since 4-year-old that giant golden ring means portal to somewhere else. And then you just see half a second in the trailer, and I'm like, oh my god, it's so dumb, but I love it so much.
Do you think we're gonna see Super Sonic in this movie?
I hope so. I kind of was thinking that, and a couple of the shots
the emeralds
flying
will
through
have
the
to
sky
take. They'll have to involve the emeralds to some degree, right?
It's surprising, and again, it's surprising that there's certain nostalgia thing. They never even showed or mentioned Chaos Emeralds. Is that going to be a thing? I don't know. Here's the real thing though, and this is a little off topic, but I want to go back to Jim Carrey for a second. The trailer seems to imply that he's going to become the Eggman that we know and love probably by the end of it. He's going to morph into that Eggman for some reason.
That we know and love.
Excuse me, that I know and love, and have always loved for most of my for 28 out of the 32 years I've been alive. I've always loved. At any rate, no. But here's the thing. Other people on the internet have been saying this. He's going to morph into the classic Eggman, and he won't be that until the last scene of the movie, which will be a setup for a sequel that'll never get made.
Probably.
You don't know. This has Fast and the Furious money behind it.
How mad am I going to be? How mad are we going to be if there's an after credit scene that it shows a Chaos Emerald, and that's the teaser for the sequel that'll never get made? You know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, is it more painful to have something close and then lose it, or to have not had anything at all? You know what I mean?
I know. It's just like the Mario movie, how how they were so sure of a sequel in that Mario movie. They were so sure of it.
Wah, wah.
Hey, they're getting a sequel finally. Well, it's more of a reboot.
Okay.
Yeah,
But-
they're doing whatever, animated, blah blah blah.
Well, speaking of that,
talking about Sonic. This isn't mine.
speaking of that Mario movie, though,
Oh, okay.
Mario is such an iconic franchise and didn't die. It still actually does make good games, and it got arguably the worst video game adaptation movie. So
true.
if Sonic cements its importance in video game history if it has an equally bad live action movie, in my mind.
Oh yeah, the better the game, the worse the movie. Maybe
I don't know.
if they're inversely proportional. I hope not, because that probably doesn't mean good things for Detective Pikachu. But anyways, I also like the spin dash, even though it was obligatory and had seemed like it in the film. I'm sure it's going to be very stupid, but I liked him doing the spin dash.
I actually like how he moves. I like how he runs. I like the spin dash. I thought that the scene where he knocks over the car or the truck or whatever it is, like felt very much how like when you smash into one of the robots or the ships in the games. It felt very satisfying. Like it had a good crunch. You know what I mean? Like that's what I always liked as a kid. That crunch. Metal crunching, and so that was cool. I like how he moves and runs around and acts like Sonic. It's when he's just like talking to people and trying to be funny and being a character. That's when I don't like it.
Well, let's touch on the other big aspect of this. Then this is just kind of just one aspect of the trailer, but more of the film and design itself, is that his character design. And I think that probably is almost more of what people are kind of like trolling than the actual trailer. And it is curious because there's no way it was accidental that he was designed so unlike the game character and all the game character iterations and the TV show iterations. And like Sonic has gone through different looks, and he does not look at all like any of it. And part of me in my back mind was like, I wonder if there's a reason for that. Maybe like at the end of the movie he'll look like Sonic, or you know what I mean? Like I don't know, but
I feel like this is a classic case of there was Sega and then there was Paramount, right? And they were developing the movie, and Paramount's like, "Listen, Sega, we know movies. We got this." And then
we know how to make an anthropomorphic hedgehog.
On top of all of that, they then never once showed it to a test audience to get their feedback on it. And they're like, the first time we reveal this to anyone is going to be in the trailer, and it'll go perfectly.
There's a couple things, like specific things I want to highlight about his design, and one of them was something I had a question about before the design was revealed, and that's his eyes. Because Sonic has always had, and it's been a joke in the community, because there's been fan art that like his eyes are just like a visor, and he takes them off, and he has normal eyes underneath. But he has one giant white connected eye with two pupils floating around in them, and that's always how Sonic has looked. And I'm like, well, if they're going to try to pass this off as a creature that exists in the real world, they're going to have to change his eyes. And I'm not sure if that is, like, I'm not sure how much that's playing into the weird, like, unfamiliar, you know what I mean? Like, that it's a factor, but I also feel like I've seen fan drawings where Sonic has two separated eyes and it looked more normal. So I think it's that, and for me also the proportions of his body. Like,
the body proportions the big thing to me. Like, he looks like a guy in a suit.
He looks like a little kid wearing a furry costume.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
What happened to his gloves? Why doesn't he have gloves on?
He's no glove. Like,
it's so creepy.
His legs are too. Like it.
And then
like,
let's not forget the human teeth.
Oh right.
Yeah, and his head's not big enough. His head's too small. Well, like, if they're gonna make him look like that, I almost would rather it was just a guy in an outfit, because then it would have been like, then it's like, oh, I get it. It's supposed to be a joke. I think, I don't know, but like, then I would be more okay with that, because the amount of time and energy and money they spent CGing to look like that, I just don't understand. I don't know. It's weird. So, and this, I'm gonna get hilariously pretentious and deep here.
Yes.
And so, Chris, you mentioned before we started recording, but they have now, the producers have now recently said that they are going to redesign. Sonic will be redesigned. His look will be redesigned due to the audience outcry at the trailer, to make audiences more happy,
but they haven't announced that they're pushing back the launch date.
Yes, exactly. So this brings my question. So there's the classic there's the classic discussion in art that is the death of the author, and how this Sonic trailer has basically like blurred those lines so much because the movie's not even out yet, and there's no longer a line between the creators and the audience. They're already changing the art. It's this, like, what, just, like, if you're gonna make a movie, make the movie, and then if we hate it, we hate it. Like, you don't get to, like, patch a trailer. Like, I don't know, does anyone else have this weird, like, conflict, just how they're approaching this whole thing?
Yes and no. Because the thing is that really what they should have done is figured this out in test screenings and focus groups, which is a thing that happens normally for movies. It's just not a process that's publicized and that we're hyper aware of all the time. And so I kind of feel like I get what you're saying, like philosophically, but I also feel like if we're going to do that argument, then the same argument applies to the concept of test screenings in the first place, that we're making stuff, showing it to people, we're changing it based on what they think they're going to sell. I feel like that exists already. What we're seeing here is just a stupid version of that.
What if it was the opposite that happened? What if it was they had a classical looking Sonic, they showed it to people, and they were people that just didn't really know Sonic or care, and then those people kept giving feedback like, no, I feel like Sonic should have real more human teeth, or no, I guess like he has longer legs. He's a runner, right? Runners have long legs.
I guess that's kind of my point, is that, like, I mean, I know you're absolutely right that most films do have, like, test screening and stuff, and I personally don't really like the idea of that, even though I know it's part of the industry and it is what it is, whatever. But it does get to what you're saying, Chris. Like, who's to say that they didn't do that, but those people said, we don't like that design, so I guess that's what I'm saying, is that there's no longer, like, if they do redesign it and it comes out, like, they don't get the credit for that. The audience is the one, like, you know what I mean? Like, what? There's no longer a creator and an audience. They're the same thing now, because we are the ones who told you to make them look like that. And a Sonic trailer, and the stupid Sonic trailer has me questioning this idea of art. What, it doesn't even matter anymore. The concept
of art in general.
It's the death of art again. Anyways,
and it was brought about by a Jim Carrey movie.
Yes. I just thought it was a weird thing. Like, I don't know. It's just so strange. Like, part of me is just like, if there's, as someone who, you know, when you create something, part of me is just like, yeah, it's my creation. If it sucks, I know I created it. I know that was me. I own it. I did it. But at this point, no, you don't anymore.
Well, we've had conversations about that, you know, on things like Corecast and in private. It just like with Star Wars and Avatar Universe, like, at what point does it belong to the creator and the fans? Like, that's a whole thing we've argued to death, but this is a stupid version of that.
Yep.
I also just, like, you know, not to stir too far away from the points you were making, because they were phenomenal. I'm glad that this is where we landed in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie trailer talk. But this situation of them bending to pressure and well, actually, it's not the same situation. But when they made Shrek, Mike Myers like decided way later that he wanted to have Shrek to have a Scottish accent. So he pitched it to, I don't know, whoever was in charge, Jeffrey Katzenberg or whoever. And they were like, yes, that's what Shrek should sound like. They had already done most of the movie, and they like went back and reanimated like a ton of scenes because it didn't fit his new voice recording, and it cost them like $4 to $5 million to add to the production at that point. Like, how, like, this, you telling me they're going to redesign Sonic was news to me today. Like, you told me right before we started recording. I can't fathom, like, how much of the movie is done. Like, what does that mean? How do they, like, what's the process of just reanimating the main character in your half animated movie? That's got to cost so much money. I don't know.
And that's my point. It's just like, there's no one running anything. It's a whole bunch of chickens with their heads cut off, and no one, like, well, we got to do this. Why? Because they said so. But why did they say so? I don't know. Because they, like, there's a person on the internet who made a comment. Well, I guess we got to, like, what? Just make a movie. Just make a movie. Like, like, it's just this weird, you know, tail wagging the dog to the most extreme. I don't know. It's tails. There's 9 tails, and they're all wagging, or 2 tails. Mm-hmm. And they're all wagging a flying fox. Anyways. Is there any other thoughts on this lovely trailer that we had gifted to us this week.
I don't. I just want to say that I appreciate the work that you put into that wagging tail fox.
Yeah, I got there eventually.
You got there, but I appreciate the effort.
Okay, thanks.
No, I mean this is like I said. This is like I'm one of the Chewies of the world. So this movie can be as bad as it wants. I'm gonna go see it no matter. There's no force on earth that's gonna prevent me from going to see a Sonic movie if it's in theaters and I'm able to. And at this point, I'm like, look, I either want it to be as good as I always imagined as a little kid, or I need it to be as bad as possible.
Yeah.
So at this point, bad as possible is more likely, far more likely. So I'm just hoping it's as bad as it can be. I'm hoping this is.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm hoping it's like go see it and a late show with your friends and hopefully the theater's relatively empty so you can heckle it kind of movie. I'm hoping it's one of those at this point.
I agree. We've said it before, but like to me, awful or entertainingly bad is always better than okay but boring.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's why I'm. All right, go ahead.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I really hope that this, because every now and then, right, there's that movie where you see the trailer and you're like, this looks so bleh, right? You're just like, ugh, I don't know. But then, like, you go and you watch that movie and it ends up being a really solid film, right? Not even in a bad way. It's like, oh, actually, that film was pretty good.
Speed Racer was that for me.
It might happen there.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping this is like the phoenix. It's gonna rise from these ashes of this trailer, and it's
gonna be supersonic. Collect all the emeralds, all of our monies, and not care that it's awful.
And then Shadow will show up at the end
as a werewolf or something.
Anyways,
that's our thoughts on the Sonic trailer. Something that no one asked for, but you guys got anyway, everyone.
We never done a trailer episode before, but like we said, I think this was an important situation. We'll try to save trailer talks for really important trailers.
Does anybody feel like his legs were way more muscular in that poster than they were animated in this trailer?
Yes.
I want the muscular legs back.
The Star Wars Episode 9 trailer dropped like 2 weeks ago, but no, we're doing an episode on this.
That's what I'm talking. That's not as important. We more or less know what we're going to get with that movie.
Yeah, this
is going to change the face of the world as we know it, Sean, just like he did back in the early 90s on the Genesis. All right,
and we'll have staked our flag in that monument now. We got in early.
Yeah. Sonic is back to be the Nintendo killer he was always born to be.
I'll be disappointed by anything less, if we're being honest.
Well, if you guys have thoughts on the Sonic trailer or anything else, please give us a holler. We'd love to hear how much you hate and or love Sonic the Hedgehog, and write us at yumchunks@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can catch our Endgame review and talk. It's out now. It's a good solid 2 hours of Chris complaining about dumb stuff.
No, but in all seriousness about Sonic, please leave us comments and letters, because that's the perfect excuse to bring this topic up again in the next episode and get Ryan and Vince involved.
That's true.
Look, as often as I can talk about this Sonic movie on after the credits, the better. All right.
We already did half an hour.
Every trailer that they release up until launch, we're going to do an episode on.
Excellent. All right.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. And
gotta go fast.
Gotta go. We're going fast.
We're running around at the speed of sound.
Gotta follow my rainbow.
This has been
After the Credits,
a Young Chunks podcast.